So our project that we're going to be doing is to make this retaining pin. Right, the dimensions for it are as follows. We've got a 3mm across here, and from there to there is 10mm in diameter. The shaft itself is 60mm in length and it has a diameter of 4.2mm. And the other part that we have to do is to put a 1.5mm hole 4mm in from the small end. We'll put a witness mark in, so from the witness mark to the end of the stock is 65mm, and we've got to turn that down to 4.2mm. So what we've done now is we've set up with our centre drill. We're just going to put a centre drill in and then put a half centre in to hold it. So what we've done here is just put the half centre in, just put a little bit of grease on the end of that, and that just lubricates that side of it so we don't run into any problems there. So we'll just put the half centre up into position like that, just put a bit of tension on it. So we've got the half centre in, we've greased up the half centre, the stock's been pulled out a bit so we can get full range. And what we're going to do now is just do touch off, and then we're going to start whittling away at this until we get it down to 4.2mm. shaft off the half centre. I've just re-greased it, and what's happening now is that we're getting thinner and thinner in this section here, where we've got the the centre hole drilled. And the problem you're going to have now is that as this gets thinner, this will start to flare out due to the pressure right from your tailstock, and we have to keep readjusting just to make sure that we're holding centre, and also that we're getting a true cut down the length of the shaft. I'm just going to do a spring pass now, and then we're going to do another measurement to see where we're at. We're getting very close to our dimension of 4.2mm. Alright, so we're just going to run our final cut now. We're coming in 0.05 of a millimetre just to finish it off and bring it to size. So just adjust that in slightly, 0.05 of a millimetre, and let it go. So I've just taken a measurement here, and what we've got is just a fraction over 0.02, which will suit the purpose just well. Just a fraction over 0.02 and 0.02. When we're running the machine, we basically kept at the same rates that we were using. Right, the revs were at 500, about 600 revs per minute. Yep, with the lathe turning there, so we're running about 560 or thereabouts. So with our setup as far as our feed rate goes, we've got our gearing at 28 and 60, and we've got that set on number 9, which gives us this reading here, which is 5 thousandths per inch. So on the lathe itself, our two adjustments as far as our feed rate goes were this cog here or gear, and this gear here. So the gears here were your 28 and 60, the others are remaining the same, and we can vary our speed by either driving from the chuck drive to an idler drive, or we can go from the chuck drive to the motor itself, which speeds up. We've now dropped this back to 100 revs per minute, or close to 100 revs per minute, for the next phase. So we've changed our cutters over because we're just going to cut this off at the end of this, but there's a little bit of fishing work to do. I've just squared up that to the face of the chuck, and we've dropped our speed down to 120 revs per minute. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to square off right at the bottom end of this machine pin, and I'm just going to use the cut-off tool to do that. So I'll just slowly come in, square it off until I just taking it slowly so there's no hard and fast. Trying to get there at a million miles an hour. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to come in 3mm, that will give us our base. I'm just doing that by ruler, there's no hard and fast rule on that. So I'll just come into the edge there, and that's 3mm in there. And then what we're going to do now is lock the table down and cut straight through. Just going to back out for a bit and just going to get the file and just round off those sharp edges. Back in and keep the pressure even, just keep right cutting in. The thing you find with these small lathes is that you get a lot of flex in this whole mechanism here, and what they can do is right under the cut off. You just got to take it slowly. The other alternative is to take it out and just cut it off by hacksaw. What I'm going to do now. Right, so I've just got this in the vise and we're just going to cut that off. So what we're doing here is just facing off right the cut off end, and we've increased the revs back to 560, so I'm just going to cut it off. Trying to really know. So what we've done here is that we've got ourselves a small precision hobby vise, and we've put our support pins in, and what we're doing now is just measuring in from the end. We've got to come in about 4mm, and with the scribe That's at 4mm there. I'm just going to put a indentation. We've got that indentation in there now, so we can use that as a guide forward or the drill press. Right, so what I'm doing now is just lining up the indentation we put in with the scribe with the centre drill, and just making sure we got that lined up and it's all centered. And we're just going to put our prelim hole in before we put our drill bit in. So we just put our pilot hole mark in, so now we'll swap over to the drill, which will be a 1.5mm hole put through. So as you can see here, we just got our hole just put through, and now we'll take it out of the wash and check it. So finally we got to the end of the machining and drilling. We've actually made the retaining pin as we've been showing, and we've met all dimensions all the way through. We've put 2 washers on the end as a bit of a spacer, and that was measured with the cotter pin put in place, and then the cotter pin is now secured, as you can see.